Thank you, and welcome to the 17th induction ceremony of the Athletics Hall of Fame. For those of you who don't know me, haven't met me yet, I am Erin Mcdermott. I'm the Director of Athletics and Recreation here at the University of Chicago. Please feel free to go ahead and eat your salads. They will take them away after we're done with these opening comments to serve dinner, so go ahead and eat your salads. As we say in the athletic department, it's a great day to be a Maroon. It's also been a great year to be a Maroon. Last year, our individual and team performances resulted in the Maroons finishing 9th out of 450 schools in the NCAA Division III Learfield IMG Directors Cup standings, a ranking of overall performance in NCAA championships and tournaments. It's our highest ever and first ever in the top 10 and sixth consecutive finish in the top 20. That ranking was propelled by 7 teams finishing in the top 15 nationally. Men's and women's swimming and diving earned their highest national placements ever at 8th and 6th, respectively, with 1 national champion and 2 runner-ups. Women's track and field finished 6th and 8th, respectively, at the indoor and outdoor championships, with 1 indoor champion and 2 outdoor runner-ups. Men's soccer advanced to the Final Four for the 2nd consecutive year. Both men's and women's tennis qualified for championship rounds, and wrestling won the UAA championship. All told, 52 students were named All-Americans, 48 All-Region, and 139 All-Conference performers. It's also worth noting that in its inaugural varsity year, women's lacrosse finished 2nd in their conference and were 15-3 overall. And this year, currently, 5 fall teams are nationally ranked. Of them, women's cross country has achieved its highest national ranking ever at number 2, and same for volleyball at number 3. Other exciting updates I wanted to share: the Friends of Maroon Athletics funds allowed us to begin a Ratner Refresh initiative to enliven spaces and show our Maroon pride more overtly. We're focusing on spaces that are heavily traveled by varsity teams and recruits. The first phase was completed over the summer, which included, as you can see from these slides, our office suite entrance. These are before and after pictures. Our office suite lobby, a small conference room, the entrance to the Hall of Records, the Hall of Records itself, the displays, and the hallway into our competition gym. So we have quite a refresh ongoing effort going on. It's been certainly well received, and we certainly have more to do. We are also celebrating the 50th anniversary of varsity football's return to campus. 15 members of the 1969 team returned to campus for our first home football game of the season and a day of reunion. Some of them have since stepped forward to create the Walter L. Haas Fund for Athletics in memory of their beloved coach. It is the first endowment fund to support athletics generally for the betterment of all teams and all athletes. Monday night was our 6th Aims of Athletics address. This event has become our single opportunity to gather as a Maroon community and honor the tradition and values of athletics at the university. Provost Daniel Diermeyer gave opening comments that focused on the university's principles and the strong connection of athletics within the academy and our Division III educational model. The Keynote Program featured Arnie Duncan, Secretary of Education in the Obama administration, and currently the Director of Chicago Cred, and John Rogers, University Trustee and co-CEO of his founded firm, Ariel Investments. Their candid and thoughtful messages touched on the importance of education and sports in their lives, the adversity they both faced in needing to work harder for the opportunities they received, both athletically and professionally, the importance of their parents, coaches, and teammates, and the connections they made through sports, education, and Hyde Park that led them to where they are today. We will have a video available of the program later, so you'll be all receiving that. Be sure to check that out if you have interest. Tonight's Hall of Fame induction represents our core values of excellence, education, and integrity. We are celebrating 5 outstanding Maroons tonight. Congratulations to all of you. Before we honor them, I need to recognize some current Hall of Fame members that we have here, as well as some other guests. Our Hall of Fame members, of which we have 8 here, so please reserve your applause to the end, are Joe Bochensky, Michelle Darbrow, Frank Edwards, Ann Harvilla, Kelly Humphrey, Dan Phillips, Paul Schuster, and Mario Springer. Thank you for being here. We also have alumnus and university trustee who so graciously joins us every year, Paul Jovovich. Thank you for being here, Paul. And we also have selection committee members who worked very hard in honoring these inductees, so thank you for being here as well. I already mentioned Joe Bochensky and Ann Harvilla. Also here are Dennis Walden, our chair, Kathleen Abbott, Matt Gillespie, Mike Hayes, who is our Assistant Vice President for Student Life, and he's the university representative on the committee, our Director of Sports Information, Nathan Lindquist, and Tina Park. Thank you for all serving. It is now my pleasure to introduce Michelle Rasmussen, Dean of Students in the University. Michelle provides student affairs leadership for the university and oversees those who lead essential student programs and services, including me. Please welcome Michelle Rasmussen.
Thank you, Erin. I'm going to keep my remarks short because I know we have a very full program ahead of us, but I just wanted to reiterate my thanks and appreciation to all of the wonderful people in this room who helped make UChicago athletics what it is. Particularly like to note the leadership of Erin Mcdermott, who has really had a phenomenal track record since she joined us a little over 6 years ago in terms of transforming athletics into what it is today. I know that she is building on the shoulders of giants that came before her, but I have been so impressed by her dedication and her perseverance and her tenacity in improving the experience of our varsity athletic program and the students who participate in them. I'd also like to thank our terrific coaches, assistant coaches, trainers, athletic staff, administrators who all make the work of our varsity athletic program and our recreation programs what it is. Of particular importance to me as Dean of Students in the university is the health and well-being and student experience of all the individuals who come to UChicago, whether they be undergrads or graduate students or professional students. And more, I am realizing the absolute importance of recreation, sports, and varsity athletics and making sure that that happens. And the work of our incredible staff and our incredible athletes really contributes to that, and I'm very grateful for it. I'd like to very much also welcome the family and friends who are with us tonight. I see we've got some very little Maroons here, which is terrific, tiny Maroons, in fact. Welcome, and we hope that you enjoy the program tonight and enjoy each other's company. Thank you so much.
It is my honor to present the Starkey Duncan Award. Starkey was a psychology professor at the university, a beloved man and teacher, and the university's NCAA faculty athletic representative for more than 20 years. This award is not an annual award. It is only given when a faculty or staff member who doesn't work in athletics has consistently gone above and beyond the call of duty to touch the lives of student athletes. Kathy Ford certainly meets that criteria and is a person She is a person in the mold of Starkey. Kathy is the Senior Associate Dean of Students in the college and is the Director of Academic Advising. As an experienced academic advisor, Kathy voluntarily took on the role of liaison with athletics. As a result, she fields many inquiries and urgent requests to assist student athletes when they are encountering difficulty, communicating with faculty, or just need someone to discuss their complex commitments and occasional conflicts of obligation. She is never too busy. She is never impatient, or at least she never appears to be, even when I might ask the same question repeatedly with maybe not the same level of display of calm. Finding allies and advocates on campus is critical to the success of our scholar athletes, and Kathy has been both as a big Maroon fan with a compassionate heart. Kathy, thank you for being a champion for the Maroons. We appreciate you and all that you do for us. Thank you, and please come up and join me briefly. It is not in your program, but what you do have in your program is an insert that honors Maryjean Mulvaney. We couldn't let this night pass us by without acknowledging Maryjean and her recent passing. And there was no other person who I felt better to do this than our own Rosalie, or as you know her, Rosie Resch, or Coach Resch, maybe, who has also served the Maroons for an incredibly long amount of time, and is near and dear to many of you, as Maryjean Mulvaney is dear to her. So in order to give this tribute, Rosie will come up and provide some words about Maryjean and her impact on Maroon athletics. So, Rosie.
Maryjean Mulvaney was my teacher, mentor, and friend. From the first moment when I met her during orientation week at my first year in the college, 50 years ago last month, she was a positive and encouraging force in my life. That same force impacted countless other athletes during her 24 years leading the athletic program. She came to UChicago as chair of the Department of Physical Education - Women's Division because the men's and women's departments were separate at that time. The men occupied Bartlett, then a gymnasium, and Henry Crown Fieldhouse, then a one-story dirt structure. The women were housed in Ida Noyes Hall, at that time complete with a gym, a pool, and a bowling alley. Under her leadership, the women's athletic program quickly grew from 2 to 9 sports. She was never a coach, but her presence was felt and heard at every athletic event. A native of Nebraska, she was, and please forgive the pun, quite corny with her exhortations and encouragements. Some of our favorites were, at a softball game, an exasperated, "Dear Gussie, why doesn't she just throw strikes?" At basketball games, mostly directed at forwards, "Stop trying to dribble, just pass or shoot." And our all-time favorite at track meets, "Hurry, hurry, run faster, she's catching you." She knew our majors, our interests, and our stories, and supported us in so many ways, including driving a station wagon to our away games. Imagine, if you will, driving backwards in a station wagon in rush hour traffic with a not particularly strong driver. This was a harrowing experience that still haunts every athlete from those early years. When the departments merged, she was equally committed to the men's program. She worked to improve budgets and added attendance at even more athletic events to her busy schedule. She was involved in the plans that added the second floor to the field house and was critical in soliciting the gift from Helen Myers McLean that kick-started the planning for the Rathner Athletic Center and pool. Hall of Fame inductees David, Kate, Cindy, and Cary, and the current athletes in attendance have benefited from what she considered her most important contribution, the formation of the University Athletic Association. She knew that association with other strong liberal arts colleges from across the country would create a special kind of competitive experience. I think that it is clear from our current successes nationally that her vision is being fulfilled. I could read quotes from former athletes for hours because she impacted as many of us, but I will share two last quotations. This is from a graduate from the 1980s. "I would never have made it through 4 years at a degree without all the support, assistance, good advice, comfort, and encouragement that she gave me personally, and her incredible intelligence and hard work in building, maintaining, and growing the athletic program." The last photo is of Emily Townsend, Miss Mulvaney. Emily is Dean and Professor of Theology at Vanderbilt University, and she recently shared this sentiment. "One of the greatest lights in my life has now dimmed, and I both celebrate and mourn her passing. What a woman, what a legacy." Thank you.
Okay, I am back a couple minutes early because we are ready to go. So, Lester, you ready to go? All right. So all I need to do now is introduce Lester Munson. It is time for our Master of Ceremonies to lead our induction ceremony. Lester Munson has had a lengthy and distinguished career, particularly in sports journalism, where he has never shied away from controversial subjects, even here when I ask him not to. He's been a Tiger at Princeton and a Maroon in the University of Chicago Law School, and as a proud parent. He's currently the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Hazelton Betty Ford Foundation. Please welcome Lester Munson.
Good evening. It's an exciting time for a lot of you, I think, to be back on the campus. Many of the inductees perhaps have not been here for a little while. You've heard Erin's report on the success of the department, of all the teams, all the athletes, all that goes on here. It is a remarkable story of success that most of it began with Maryjean Mulvaney. Thank you to Rosie for that wonderful tribute to Maryjean. Now, I would add a couple of things to Erin's report. Some of you may be going to the football game tomorrow. When you go to the game, it's going to be against Knox College, you will notice that on our sideline, on the University of Chicago sideline, there are 99 young men in uniform. There are so many young men in uniform that there are 11 sets of double numbers. If you look out there and you see 2 number 78s or 2 number 52s, you're not seeing things. There are 2 number 78s and 2 number 72s. If Coach Wilkerson calls out to these 99 young men and he says, Matthew, come over here, 7 players will come over. If he calls out Michael, come over here, 5 players will come over. We've got 12 guys with the names Matthew and Michael on our 99-man football team. They could put out an entire defensive unit with the names Matthew and Michael and have one guy left over on the sideline in case of an injury. I went and watched the Maroons play Lake Forest. It was a very nice win. And the game concludes, and then these 99 Maroons go out on the field to shake hands with another 90 from Lake Forest. The shaking of hands took longer than the fourth quarter. Now, I also want to mention the women's volleyball team. Where are they? Erin mentioned that they're doing well. They're doing incredibly well. They've won 15 matches in a row. They are ranked 3rd in the nation, and they beat Calvin University, which is the #1 team in the nation. We have a granddaughter who plays volleyball who would like to be a student here next year, so I went to watch the Maroons play. I was curious about their level of play. They are extraordinary athletes. I have been around sports for more than 30 years. I have seen sports played at all of the elite levels. These women are incredible in what they are able to do. I was watching how some of the people, the players in the back, dive for balls. A ball comes crashing over the net. It's a kill from the other side, and somehow here is a woman diving and getting that ball back up in the air. These women dive in ways that Javier Baez would envy. They are incredible athletes. Elsewhere on the campus, things are going very well. We have another Nobel Prize winner. He is number 92. His name is John Goodenough. He came to the university in 1949 to study physics under Enrico Fermi, the legendary physicist who was at that point already a Nobel Prize winner. He also studied under John Simpson. When John arrived on our campus, he was already 27 years old. He had served in World War II. One of the physics professors at that time told him that he was already too old. All of the great breakthroughs in the world of physics had been engineered by men who were younger than he was, 27, when he arrived. Now, here he is at age 97, collecting a Nobel Prize for his work on lithium-ion batteries. Every one of you with a cell phone has one of John's batteries with you. When the Nobel folks called him to tell him, this 97-year-old physicist, that he had won the Nobel Prize, he was in London collecting yet another award, the Copley Prize, which is the oldest award given to researchers in science. How important is his work? It's incredibly important. His breakthrough will be the foundation of a wireless and fossil-free society as it continues to develop. What did this man say when he found out about the Nobel Prize? He says, If you can live to be 97, you can do anything, even win the Nobel Prize. Here on the campus, things are better than ever. The university ranked 6th in the United States News and World Report rankings. These rankings are based on a very complex mathematical formula. It helps us here at the university to have Robert Zimmer, a math major, as our president. We somehow, however, dropped to number 14 in the Wall Street Journal rankings. Even Northwestern is ahead of us, something that I tend to take personally. The journal ranking is also a very complicated mathematical formula. If you see President Zimmer, tell him to get working on that formula if he would. The tuition at this point is $59,298. Room and board is $17,000. That's a total of about $76,000 per year. The median starting salary of our alumni is now $60,100. In other words, half of our graduates are making $60,000 or more as they start their career in the economy. The undergraduate college now has 6,500 students. It accepts 7% of those who apply. I was informed during the cocktail period that that is now down to 5%. This year's freshman class is once again the smartest class ever in the history of the university. They somehow do that every year. Here is a look at 5 members of the freshman class. They just arrived here a couple weeks ago. There's a guy from Shanghai who is already a world-class debater. He was captain of the national Chinese debate team, and he has won honors already in the Czech Republic, Croatia, Indonesia, and Thailand. And then there's a young woman in the class from Pasadena who was queen of the Rose Bowl parade. She won the honor over more than 1,000 contestants. That is not all. She spent the past summer researching cystic fibrosis at Caltech. Then there's a young man from South Florida who is an accomplished violinist and a star distance runner. He is already running on our cross-country team here, and he will soon join the various music groups on our campus, playing either the violin or the viola. And we have a first-year physics major who has already started a business. She makes and sells Lego-like bricks that can be made into walls in apartments so you can reconfigure the apartment that you rent. The business is already a roaring success. And finally, we have a guy from Seattle who is a professional performer. He has developed a circus clown character named Godfrey. He has received rave reviews in the New York Times, and he spends each summer performing in underserved communities and in Native American reservations. Can you believe these kids in this class? An international debate champion, a queen of the Rose Bowl parade who studies cystic fibrosis, an accomplished violinist and distance runner, a woman who is already succeeding in her own business, and a circus performer. And they are all only 17 or 18 years old. I tried to look back. I think at that stage in life, I was still trying to learn how to read the sports page and the comics. That is the situation on the main campus. Across the Midway at the law school that I attended, they are also having some fun. Even when Barack Obama was teaching there for 12 years, it was a very quiet place. It's a law school that specializes in rigorous scholarship and in highly sophisticated considerations of the intricacies of law and economics. But now the place has turned exciting. Suddenly, its alumni are everywhere. Here are some samples. From the class of 1985, we have James Comey, the former FBI director who inserted himself in the 2016 presidential campaign. And from the same class, we have Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota who is running for president. For those of you who are not paying close attention, that's President of the United States. From the class of 1988, we have Christopher Eisgruber, now the president of Princeton, my alma mater, and we have Adam Silver, the commissioner of the National Basketball Association. Within a few weeks of taking the job as commissioner of the NBA, Adam courageously drove Donald Sterling, the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, and a generically reprehensible individual, out of the league because of his racist comments. Now Adam is defending team officials and his players against the authoritarian regime in China. These two guys were in the same class here at the university. In the course of my work and in the course of alumni activities at Princeton, I met both of them within the same 3-week period. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, was in the middle of a story I was doing at ESPN. And I said, Adam, did you happen to know Christopher Eisgruber, who's now the president of Princeton? And Silver said, yes, of course I knew him. He was in the SMART group. I was not. Then I go to Christopher Eisgruber, president of Princeton. He's got a PhD in addition to his law degree. Did you happen to know Adam Silver? And Eisgruber says, yeah, I knew him. He was in the SMART group. Most of us in sports media would agree that Adam is the best commissioner in the entire sports industry at the professional or the college level. Graduating from the law school 1 year after Eisgruber and Silver was Lori Lightfoot, the new mayor of Chicago. Some of you have seen her in action. She is a formidable woman, brilliant, most recently talking about the possibility of a teacher's strike here in the public school system of Chicago. She said, I am doing things differently from my predecessor. Some of you will remember that her predecessor was Rahm Emanuel, who had a tendency toward foul-mouthed tirades. She said, I will not be leading the negotiations with my middle finger as Rahm did. So maybe there will not be a strike. Finally, we have the attorney who is now representing President Trump in the impeachment inquiry. His name is Pat Cipollone. He was a member of the class of 1991. He is the guy who wrote the scholarly letter to Nancy Pelosi announcing that the president would defy the impeachment process. So that's a quick look at the university. If you see the dean of the law school, Tom Miles, perfectly nice guy, you might ask him what they're doing over there and who are all these guys suddenly so notorious. And now to the basic business of the evening. Our first inductee was a star on the men's soccer team the moment he arrived on the campus. As goalie, he had 7 of his career shutouts, of his 20 career shutouts in that year. You will see in the video that he set records and had success that may never be matched. As you watch the video, you'll get a taste of what has become a very nice rivalry for the soccer program, namely Wheaton College, the evangelical school in the western suburbs with numerous missionary kids who played soccer at the highest level as they were growing up and became soccer stars at Wheaton College.
David Collar was a 3-year starter-right goalkeeper for the UChicago men's soccer team. He made an immediate impact as a rookie in 1996, earning the starting job and posting a 13-4-2 record with 7 shutouts. That Maroon squad made its first ever postseason appearance and advanced all the way to the NCAA Final Four. Despite missing his junior year with an injury, Collar graduated as the program's all-time leader in minutes and goals against average. Collar also boasts the school record with 20 career shutouts over his 3-year playing career. With a career record of 31-19-5, Collar was named second team All-Region in 1997, third team All-Region in 1999, and second team All-UAA in 1999. He received the Stag Medal at the conclusion of his senior year in Hyde Park. Congratulations to David Collar, a member of the University of Chicago Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2019.
First and foremost, David, I want to say to you, congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's an exciting night for you. Congratulations to your family, your parents, your brother, everybody that's been involved in your life. I know your kids are there. They're probably really excited to see their dad being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it's nothing more than an exciting time for all of us who know you, and we're fortunate enough to be able to be around you at your time of playing. I remember trying to recruit David to Chicago, and it was a difficult one, although we thought at first it would be easy because his brother Tom was already there. But you know, when you're as talented and academic and have the background that David does as a person and a player, everybody wants you. And we were really fortunate to be able to have David decide to come to Chicago. I was very excited. I was glad to get him out of the grasp of one of our rivals, Wheaton College, which ironically happened, and the rest was history from there. David's impact on our team was immediate. I could see in preseason when he was starting how much he wanted to improve. I remember Paul Gerard, our goalkeeper coach, working with him, trying to make him play bigger in goal, just shaping his body differently. And at 6'4", I always thought that was weird, but how much more can you do? But he did it, and he was a presence, even as a freshman. Being in the Final Four that year, David's impact on our team as a leader and a player, we couldn't have done it without him, particularly as we went down the road in the tournament. He came up big for us numerous times, and it was an astounding performance for him. David's legacy is big on the university and the program, and that was all done in 3 years, which to me is amazing in itself. Because I think now, if he had had that one extra year and not broken his hand, he would still be in the top of the list as far as goalkeeping records. You know, where the University of Chicago soccer program is right now is because of players like you, and that you should be proud of. I know your teammates, alumnus, and all those who love you are excited for this honor tonight, and congratulations.
Well done. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
After graduation, David completed a PhD in population biology at the University of California, Davis. He did postdocs at UMass Boston, UC Santa Cruz, and Harvard. I can see UMass Boston and Santa Cruz. UC Santa Cruz is one of the greatest campuses in all of American higher education. But Harvard, I think that's a school in the East someplace. He is now on the faculty at Christopher Newport University in Newport News, Virginia, where he is the director of a lab that studies evolutionary and functional morphology. This is a University of Chicago evening. We have to use words like morphology. It is research that combines morphology and phylogenetic methods, and as near as I can tell, involves a lot of lizards and snakes. David Collar. Congratulations. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I've been instructed by my wife to try to talk fast, because that's my infant son you keep hearing voicing his opinions about the evening. But it's a great honor to be here. Thank you to all of you for being here, for putting on this wonderful event. So what I would like to say is that being a goalkeeper is a unique position on a soccer field. In a game played with the feet, you use your hands. While most players run more than 6 miles during the game, you patrol a box that extends only 18 yards from the goal. You even wear a different uniform from the rest of your team. It is perhaps because of this uniqueness that goalkeepers attract so much attention as parts of winning teams. You can count saves and attribute shutouts to a goalkeeper, and it's pretty easy to take credit for all that. But here's the thing. As a goalkeeper, you cannot win a game for your team. The best you can do is give your team a chance to win. On a good day, you keep your defense organized and you pick up the pieces when things fall apart. But it's up to the other 10 players to run hard, keep shape on defense, to attack, and put the ball in the back of the net. What's more is even though you can't win the game on your own, as a goalkeeper, you can single-handedly undo your team's chances to win. Mistakes cost goals and often games, and I lived that truth more often than I care to remember. And I suppose I'm up here because I gave us more chances to win than not. But what I'm trying to say is what I learned from my time as a goalkeeper is that I need a team. My successes are not mine alone. They're shared with those who support, challenge, and inspire me. So it is with deep gratitude that I accept this honor. I share it with my UC teammates who picked me up after setbacks and all their hard running, defending, and goal scoring that secured wins. I share it with Coach O'Connor, who taught me what leadership is. I share it with my parents and my brother, who support me relentlessly. And I share it with my family, my new team, who sustain me every day. So thank you all very much.
Our next inductee, Tate Cortez, helped lead the women's soccer team to national prominence. She put together, as you can see in your program and as you will see in the video, an incredible record, including a Final Four appearance. But the numbers and the statistics are only a part of the story. Her coach, Amy Reifert, has seen many great athletes during her years here at Chicago. Amy is not prone to hyperbole, but listen to the adjectives she uses to describe Tate Cortez. She uses words like magical, and at one point says, greatest of all time. The video.
Tate Cortez was a key component of the UChicago women's soccer team's ascension to national contender status in the late 1990s. The Maroons made 4 straight appearances in the NCAA tournament, captured 2 UAA titles, and reached the NCAA Final Four in 1996. A starter up the spine of the defense, Cortis was also a dual threat as a dangerous presence on set pieces. She totaled 12 goals and 7 assists over her career in Hyde Park. During her 4 years, the dominating defense tallied a whopping 45 shutouts and allowed only 0.67 goals per game. Cortis received first-team All-UAA and second-team All-Region honors in both 1998 and 1999. Her UChicago teams posted a 56-17-8 overall record. Congratulations to Tate Cortez, a member of the University of Chicago Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2019.
Tate Cortez, welcome to the Hall of Fame. I am honored to have this opportunity to speak about why you belong there. You were one of the greatest athletes to ever play at the University of Chicago. You were an incredibly technical and tactical player. And most definitely, you are the most competitive, spirited player, teammate, friend that any team could be lucky enough to have. Our success in your 4 years clearly had to do with what you did on the field, both tactically and athletically. The 50-50 balls you won, the challenges you made, the headers you cleared, the shots you scored. It was because of your play that we were incredibly successful. But we found meaning. We were an incredible team because of your passion, because of how much you cared, because of what you were willing to give day in and day out to our success. It's rare when one of your very best players on your team is also the heart of your team. And when you have that in a leader who people are excited, thrilled to follow, that's when magical things happen. And with you leading the way, magical things happened in your 4 years, and we found tremendous success. I am thrilled that the Hall of Fame Committee has honored you with this award. It is incredibly deserved, and I'm excited for both you and your teammates that you will get to represent us all in the Athletics Hall of Fame.
Kate coached college soccer for a number of years. She started here at the university as an assistant to Coach Reifert and then coached at the University of Missouri, University of Minnesota, and finally at the Colorado School of Mines. She now lives in Durango, Colorado with her husband and their 2 sons. She homeschools the boys and coaches them in soccer and baseball. She still has this competitive instinct, however. She's going to compete in the Chicago Marathon on Sunday. There are people who just want to complete the marathon. My guess is Kate is out to win the marathon. Tate Cortez.
Put it over here.
Okay, thanks, Lester. Let's be clear about one thing. I am in no way, shape, or form competing on Sunday. Okay, so let's just clear that up right now. Hello and good evening. I'm obviously Tate Cortez. As Lester mentioned, I live with my husband and 2 sons in Southwest Colorado, where I'm a homeschool educator, runner, and volunteer t-ball and soccer coach. Last week at my son's 1st grade soccer team practice, we were warming up and reviewing the 1v1 moves we've learned so far. I was quizzing the boys on what they should do after they finish the move. The answer I was looking for was accelerate. Like in many sports, to beat a defender in soccer, you have to change direction and then change your pace. So I asked the question of the 6-year-old boys, and there is befuddled silence. And finally, one boy sort of looks at me and says, "Celebrate!" Speaking of celebrations, what a wonderful gathering here tonight. Thank you to University of Chicago Athletics and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for this humbling honor.
And sincere congratulations to the other inductees, especially Cindy and Dave, who I had the great fortune to know and admire as student athletes. First and foremost, thank you to my teammates. I'm the 5th player from the 1996 Final Four team to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. And this award is a testament to all of my teammates' hard work. Specifically, I'd like to share this award with the 6 women in my class who became lifelong friends. Rachel Frank, Amy Gleisner, and Molly McQuillan, who are here tonight, Amanda Vogler, and the incredible Hall of Famers, Jessica Berry and Cinnamon Pace. I absolutely believe that steel sharpens steel, and I was so fortunate to spend my time at Chicago surrounded by this brilliant, funny, hardworking tribe. I had no choice but to follow your examples of greatness, and we had so much fun together. It was an honor to be your teammate, and I continue to be amazed and inspired by the women you have become. Thank you to Coach Amy Reifert. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of Chicago women's soccer. Thank you for helping me grow as an athlete and as a coach. As a mother, it is now even more astounding to me that you were able to build and sustain such an amazing culture while you were in the process of growing your own family. In my first preseason, Coach was pregnant with her son Taylor and feeling very miserable. Somehow the doctors and trainers let her come to practice if she would lay on the sideline covered in ice towels. We were working on 1v1 defending in the grids, and it was not going well. I think we all know where this story is going. Coach jumped up, threw off the ice towels, sprinted onto the field, and started demonstrating herself how to 1v1 defend. In that terrifying moment, I had 2 thoughts. One, I had better become a great defender so that Coach will lie down again. And 2, when I grow up, I want to be as fierce as she is. Yeah. I think I've made it clear that any success I experienced at the U of C can be attributed in large part to being surrounded by incredible teammates and led by the best women's soccer coach in the nation. Yet here is the reason I'm proud to accept this honor. Since graduation, I have used the medium of sport to educate and inspire people. I would like to share my coaching and education philosophy with you. I will not use the word morphology. The seeds for this philosophy were sown while playing for Coach Reifert and learning in the hallowed halls at Chicago. As a young coach, I began to sift through these lessons and form my own belief system. I also had the opportunity to learn from 2 other very special mentors, Coach Mickey Denny Wright at the University of Minnesota and legendary wrestling coach Mike Denny, who has led his teams to 7 NCAA titles throughout the course of his 50-year coaching career. They shared one special word with me, which simply summarizes my philosophy. In martial arts, there's a warrior battle cry, oos, which means I will bring my best. Before we compete, we raise our hands and we say, oos. This is a challenge to each competitor and creates a mutual respect because both athletes vow to bring their best. We do this on game day, but more importantly, we can do this every day, when we go to work, when we go to school, when we go to the treadmill, when we go to the grocery store. We define ourselves by the relationships we build and how we help others grow. We are courageous enough to take risks. We are willing to share our brightest light with the world, and our efforts will not be derailed by a fear of losing. That speaks directly to the core of what I believe makes the University of Chicago so special. Just last week, President Zimmer sent out an email trumpeting Chicago as an environment of mutual intellectual challenge. Mutual intellectual challenge. That is UCE. I will bring my best. Will all of you? Will you bring your best? Let's say it together. Raise your arms. Ooh. Good job. Good job. Finally, thank you to my family. I did not bring the third page of my speech up here, so this is like digging deep here. My dear sister Kelsey and brother Eric played along when every childhood game turned into a ridiculously fierce competition. My father, Bill Cortis, taught me to love sports and being on a team. My father, Scott Wortman, taught me that it's okay for girls to be aggressive and competitive. My mother, Susan Peabody, taught me how to be a servant leader. She also was my first female athletic role model. I remember as a young girl riding my bike alongside her while she trained for a local running race, and I thought she was so tough. I still think you're tough. And on Sunday, she and I are running the Chicago Marathon together. I am forever grateful for my family's unwavering support in helping me pursue the opportunity that Coach Reifer and the University of Chicago presented to me. I have learned from some outstanding mentors in my life, but you were my first and still most influential coaches. Thank you to my husband and best friend, John Simpson. I love you and I aspire to be more like you. Every day I wake up thankful to be on your team. And last but not least, thank you to my sons, Ryan and Dean, who are my constant reminder of how fun and joyful life can be. Being your mom is the greatest job in the world. Although sometimes I am not entirely sure who is teaching who, watching you grow and helping you learn has been my greatest coaching achievement. Keep bringing your best, and one day you could become a Maroon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kate. Our next inductee was the setter for the volleyball team, the quarterback on the floor. She was one of those great team players who make everyone on the team better. As you watch the video, look at the pictures of Cindy Fong Leeper in action. They are still photos, but they show the incredible athletic ability, leaping, diving, passing the ball, serving aces. And listen to Coach Rosie Resch as she describes what makes a great player, a great teammate, and a great leader. Cindy played on a team with two other Hall of Famers, Kelly Humphrey and Michelle Darbrough. 3 Hall of Famers on one team. Every now and then we have that here, and it's a great thing to behold. The video.
Cindy Fong Leeper led the Maroon volleyball team from her center position in the mid to late 1990s. As the engine of the offense, she was a 2-time team MVP and 2-time team captain. Her on-court prowess led to first-team All-UAA accolades in 1996 and second-team All-UAA honors in 1997 and 1998. Fong Leeper still resides atop the school record books with 62 assists in one match versus Carnegie Mellon University in 1998. She also excelled from the service line, accumulating 252 career aces, which ranks second in school history. Fong Leeper is also fifth all-time in career assists with 2,857 career helpers and ranks 10th in single-season assists. Congratulations to Cindy Fong Leeper, a member of the University of Chicago Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2019.
From the moment that Cindy Fong, hereafter referred to as Fong, walked onto the courts for her first practice, I knew that she was a special athlete. Great athletes work hard every day to improve their skills. A great teammate works even harder to make her team better. Fong was that great teammate to a team that will always be special to me. The setter is the quarterback of the team, so she needs to be fully aware of everything that is happening on the court. She needs to know the strengths and weaknesses of every player and needs to be an emotional leader. Fong was the total package. Technically strong and tactically smart, always in shape physically, and a great communicator and leader. If I replay in my mind a game in which Fong competed, I see her anticipating the pass and getting into position even before the ball passes the net. I see her chasing an errant pass across the court to make a great save. And I see her setting Hall of Famers, Kelly and Michelle. I also see her making that great tip that freezes the opponents and serving yet another ace. Off the court, I see her and her teammates laughing and playing the occasional prank on me. As I recall, despite my February birthday, this fall sports team managed to give me a slice of cake and a birthday song at quite a few restaurants. Fong was also a great student and a leader off the court. Active in the Women's Athletic Association and the Chicago Political Union, she was the ideal student athlete. Fong was a junior when I left coaching, and I've always said to people that I left confident that I was leaving my successor with the best setter and leader that any coach could wish for. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
After she graduated, Cindy went across the Midway to the aforementioned law school. She then worked for Latham & Watkins in San Francisco, one of the nation's great law firms. And then she moved over to Facebook, where she worked first as a staff attorney and now has moved into the management of the infrastructure engineering division of that company, a group of 7,000 engineers who design the inner structures of Facebook. Cindy. You should have asked for a better table. Here, hold on, we got to make a picture.
Ooh. Okay, no one asked me to fix Facebook or their app or anything. Thank you. First of all, congratulations to my fellow inductees. It's a great honor to be here, and thank you so much for putting this evening together. I get very nervous talking about myself, so please bear with me. I just want to spend a couple moments talking about how special University of Chicago is, actually. Everyone has heard the phrases, where fun comes to die, or when hell freezes over. But I really, really loved my time at Chicago, and a huge part of that was being able to be part of the volleyball team. Chicago instilled in me, and I think all of you, this love for learning, love for critical thinking, opening a bunch of opportunities for all of us. But Chicago volleyball was really my family away from home. I was really excited to leave home, actually, to start my own independence, but I was also really scared. And I remember when Coach Resch picked me up from the airport, she made me feel instantly at home. I did cry, I think, through my first meeting. But people like Steph. She introduced herself. Hi, my name is Steph, but you can call me Princess. I was like, what? But she was my best friend and my maid of honor. And I know if I ever had a problem, I could call her and she'd be right there. And as Lester said, I had the honor and well fortune of playing with a couple of other Hall of Famers and amazing athletes like Spence. And, you know, it makes the setter's job a lot easier when you can set to amazing hitters like Kelly and Darbrough. So thank you for making me look good. And then there was the broader athletic community. People like Molly, and amazing athletes like Kate. Coach Rayford, who I called Trouble, I tried to get her to name her kids after me, but that didn't work. So thank you for being my home away from home, and especially to you, Rosie. To my mom and dad, who now live in China and who couldn't be here, but they made everything possible. And finally, to my family, Nick, Jack, and Tommy, my biggest fans. Nick, we are so proud of you. You are actually trying to save the world and solve heart disease, something that actually matters. Jack, who can outdrive Nick already on the golf range. And Tommy, it's your birthday. That's why we're here in Chicago this weekend. So thank you so much for this honor, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
That was terrific. Thank you. Our next inductee starred in 2 sports. He could have made this Hall of Fame in either one of them, something we rarely see these days. As a wrestler, he showed up on the campus and quickly built himself up into a heavyweight at 265 pounds. He had remarkable agility for a large man, and under Coach Leo Coker, improved each year. He concluded his career as an All-American with a 6th-place finish in the NCAA championships. As you watch the video, you will see him on a podium that is so large it even had a place for Cary in 6th place. He also achieved All-American status in football. He excelled as a nose guard in the 3-4 defense and as a defensive tackle and a defensive end in the 4-3. In his final year, he led the Maroons with 9 sacks, 126 total tackles, 15 tackles for loss, and 24 quarterback hurries. Our son, class of 1989 here, played left tackle on the offensive line, and it was his privilege to practice against Cary Starnal. He is still in pain as the result of those practices. I spoke to him this afternoon. He said, Cary was easily the best defensive player he ever played against. You could not move him. All you could do was slow him down, and even that was almost impossible. The video, please.
Cary Starnal excelled as a wrestler and football player for the Maroons in the late 1980s. On the mat, Starnal was a three-time UAA champion at heavyweight and voted the 1998 University Athletic Association Most Outstanding Wrestler. He was named team captain as a senior and concluded his career with a sixth-place All-American finish at the 1990 NCAA Championships. On the gridiron, Starnal was a three-year defensive starter who earned All-UAA status in 1988 and 1989. His final three seasons featured 247 tackles, 34 tackles for loss, and 17.5 sacks. Starnal's 1989 campaign included career-high totals of 109 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, and 8.5 sacks. His 18 career sacks ranked 5th in school history, and he was selected as the Stag Medal winner in 1990. Congratulations to Cary Starnal, a member of the University of Chicago Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2019.
Hello, I'm Leo Coker. I was Cary Starnal's wrestling coach. There has never been a football player wrestler combination athlete who came close to Cary Starnal's athletic achievements. I have with me a statement from one of his football coaches, talked about Cary, and Jim Weissman was an assistant football coach here at the time. Early in his first year, the football staff recognized that Cary could be a very special player for the Maroons. Not only did Cary possess outstanding physical ability, he also had an intense desire to get better. Every day, whether during the season or in the off-season, Cary was working to improve. For an interior defensive lineman to have 18 quarterback sacks is very rare. He required offensive teams to double him and was still a disruptive force. Congratulations to Cary on this well-deserved honor. Cary's senior year in high school, he was a 190-pounder and qualified for state. That's good. It's not great, but Cary was determined to improve. He put together a great summer, worked very hard, and he kept getting stronger and faster and bigger. And he finished out his career here at 265 and an NCAA All-American wrestler. Quite a leap, but not surprising. Cary just had a fantastic sophomore year. He was voted Outstanding Wrestler of the UAA Championships. And again, it's not common for the heavyweight to get the Outstanding Wrestler award. What it means is most impressive wrestler and a person of Cary's size that had the skill that he did. It was just an impressive feat. And like I said, to get the Outstanding Wrestler, two-sport, at least wrestler-football combination that's come close to him. Congratulations, Cary.
In another football program, we could retire the number 70 in Cary's honor, but not here. They need all the numbers they can get. Cary is now working for the Chase Bank. He and his family, his wife and daughter, are here. They live outside Columbus, Ohio, where Cary, incredibly, remains a Michigan football fan right there in the shadow of the Buckeyes Stadium. Cary Starnal. Over here.
All right, well, it's an honor to be here. I really am thankful for this. And, it's funny, a couple years ago when my daughter was 6 years old, I was inducted into my county high school Hall of Fame back in Indiana. And my daughter at that time was like, oh, are you going to be famous? Because she thought, she might be famous if I was famous. And so now she's 10 years old, and when she found out that I'm being inducted here in college, she's like, oh, well, you're just a minor celebrity. And so now in a couple years, she's going to be a teenager, and then she won't even care about her father probably at that point. But I do love you, daughter, Deborah. But anyways, I did want to just say thank you to a lot of people. It is, as I said, an honor to be here. There is something really unique about the school, the University of Chicago, and the type of person that's drawn here. And of all the places I visited and was considering, I was just, it's an odd person, but it's a special person that fits in here. And then there's this even more unique group of people that are athletes at the University of Chicago, because the typical normal University of Chicago person, that's a different person that's also like a dedicated athlete. And I never met anyone else like me until I was here at the University of Chicago. And I still have a lot of great, just wonderful memories of the people in my time here. And it was really a great blessing for me. As I said, I did want to thank some people. First and foremost, my parents, my late father, and my mother, who were just always supportive of me, never pushed me, but always 100% behind me, where I think saw every football game I ever played in and almost every wrestling meet except maybe a few college dual meets during the week, but every tournament, everything else. They were a great blessing to me. My football coaches, particularly Coach Mick Ewing, which is the reason probably more than anything I found, he recruited me heavily to come to Chicago. He was the coach when I came here. And it's funny because Leo, I was here for a football recruiting event, and I said, I was interested in doing wrestling. And so he took me over and introduced me to Leo because Leo had some other wrestling recruits here. And Leo didn't know about me. You sort of saw that maybe in the video that I was okay. And then I think maybe the next time I saw Leo was in the state semifinal tournament before the state qualifier to get into the state tournament finals. And Leo was there scouting another wrestler. But I think over the years, Leo and I got to have a very good bond from that together with one another. But Coach Mick Ewing helped me find the school and bring me here. I also want to thank Coach Quick, who was the coach my senior year of football and was always a big supporter and promoter of me. But really, wrestling was the centerpiece of a lot of my time here at Chicago. It's a long sport. It's a grueling sport. Those early morning runs, those lifting weights, going to tournament. In one particular, I remember it was in Wisconsin. We left at like 5 in the morning. I wrestled my first match at like 8:30 in the morning, last match at 10:30 at night, drove back, and then we went and lifted weights. That's the kind of way it was back then. I don't know if Leo's still that tough or not, but it was a grueling day, almost 24 hours. But Leo, thank you very much because you were a great role model. And one of the things I personally love about sports is a lot of things in life have come very easy to me. And I've been very successful at a lot of things that I've done, but sports is the thing I really had to work at. It wasn't even actually until in college that I realized I had some natural ability along with the hard work, but I did have to work hard at sports. And Leah was a great model in just that intensity, that drive. That was my own personality, not a very emotional person, but just that intensity and drive. So Coach Leo, thank you for being a great role model, a great leader, and just a great mentor in my life. And then I just thank you for the wrestlers that are here tonight. A lot of teammates are here and coaches. Particularly, we got mentioned the most outstanding wrestler. I still remember that match that I defeated the guy that won me the outstanding wrestler. I personally was disappointed in how I wrestled, even though I won the match. And I remember coming off the match, and Jeff Farwell, who's here tonight, was the assistant coach, and he was just jumping up and down, all excited. But as me, just driven by, it wasn't perfect, and I wasn't happy. I threw my headgear down. I was like, oh, that was a terrible performance, but then I get named outstanding wrestler. But really, that's part of sports, because the measuring stick is really, do you give 100% of what you have? And I didn't win every match. I didn't win every football game. I didn't always defeat every person. But I do feel I always tried to give my best. It didn't mean I always performed what I was capable of, but I did try to do my best. And that's one of the great things sports teaches you. And it's one of the great lessons for life that it gives you. And again, I'm just very thankful to be here tonight. Thank you for the honor of receiving this award. And thanks a lot.
Our final inductee tonight is John Thomas, a member of the class of 1924. It was almost 100 years ago that our next inductee was the star fullback on the university team that played in the Big Ten. He was a fullback who carried the ball, known for his plunges into the middle of the line. He was one of 9 All-American football players in the history of this university. As you watch the video, look at the uniforms, look at the leather helmets, and of course, the nice folks here at the university made sure to include the Maroons' great 9-0 victory over my alma mater, a defeat of historic proportions for the Princeton Tigers. And if you watch carefully, you will see John Thomas in a drawing of the stars of the Big Ten of that year, and the guy right next to him in the cartoon is Red Grange, the first great American football star, the guy who changed everything for the world of football. John Thomas, class of 1924.
John Thomas was characterized as one of the great plunging fullbacks of the early 1920s. He played 3 seasons of football for legendary UChicago head coach Amos Alonzo Stagg from 1921 through 1923. In his first season, the Maroons defeated Princeton University 9-0, which marked the first time a Western team had beaten an Eastern powerhouse. Thomas earned 3 All-Big Ten selections and was a consensus All-American pick in 1922, one of 9 consensus All-Americans in UChicago football history. The Maroons posted an 18-3-1 record during Thomas's 3 seasons in a Chicago uniform. Congratulations to John Thomas, a member of the University of Chicago Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2019.
Before I forget the photo with Red Grange, who we don't speak his name in our house, actually. So I didn't tell Katie this, but that's from I think it's from the Tribune or the Chicago American. And they had his name switched with Red Grange. And I said, this is, so I switched it. But so now it's correct. My name is John Steggy, and I'm here with my brother Mark and his wife Kathy and my wife Leah, my son Caleb, my nephew John, and his friend Jennifer. And first of all, I'm thrilled that this has happened. I mean, it was 100 years ago almost that Grandpa played. And he was, also my cousin Cindy can't be here. She's in Louisiana, and my brother Paul and her sister Shelley passed away before this happened, and so this is mostly for them. My mom Barbara and my Uncle George, Cindy's father as well, have passed away. Grandpa was a very quiet person, and he never talked about football, hardly ever. I remember the one time really that he talked to me about it. I had written a report about Jim Thorpe in junior high, And he said, oh, he had played against Jim Thorpe. And I go, what? And I guess he had snuck out to a couple semi-pro games after college, I think, and had played against Jim Thorpe and played both ways. And he said tackling him was the most amazing thing he'd ever done. Jim Thorpe was 10 or 12 years older, just ran him over. And that's all he ever really said. He was a very quiet, humble guy. I don't know what he would say up here. You know, he'd be very humble, but we're really proud of him, and we're really honored that he's inducted into the Hall of Fame here. Only afterwards, at his funeral in 1977, right before I went to my sophomore year at Northwestern, I'm a Maroon fan, don't worry. So when I went to Northwestern, we were 3-46. So, but at the funeral, and my brother reminded me of this, people came up and just showed up and said, "I watched your grandfather play as a child." I mean, they played in front of huge crowds. And the Princeton game, the 9-0 defeat, that was a huge game. And then Princeton came back here and beat Chicago. My grandfather scored 3 touchdowns. They missed all 3 extra points, and they lost. But that was one of the, I think the Princeton game in Princeton, that was the first nationally telecast radio broadcast of a college football game. And so that was just one of his accomplishments, right? He went on, he coached at Danville High School. The track team, the year he coached, won state. It's the only time they ever won state. And the football team, I think, was undefeated a couple years. He went on to coach at the Haskell Indian Institute, they call it. Now it's the Haskell National Native American University. He had 3 brothers. Harry, his brother Harry, played with him in the backfield here. Lloyd and Max played at USC. Lloyd was a big star at USC. I didn't know any of this. He never talked about it. So it's just very special that you've included him in the Hall of Fame here. And I wish my mom and my uncle and my brother and my cousin could all be here to appreciate it as well. Thank you very much. And I don't, go ahead. I talked too much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
His award.
Oh.
Thank you so much. Yeah, one last hand for that. That was great. So thank you, Lester, for leading us through another ceremony. I also want to thank our team. It takes a team to really put on this event. So Katie Britton, who many of you have been in touch with, needs some decompression for sure this weekend. So she did a great job. Nicole Watkins, who put together all of our video material and graphics. Nathan Lindquist, our Director of Sports Information, behind the scenes. And our main helpers and partners in alumni relations, Katie Morris and Lori Legucki. So thank you so much for your efforts. For those of you who know John Fitzgerald, he's our narrator on those videos. He's our baseball coach and a Maroon baseball player. Unfortunately, he can never join us tonight because he is with his children on Fridays nights, but he will be at the football game tomorrow doing our broadcast in case any of you are going to the game and want to say hello. But thank you so much to all of our inductees. Just one last visit with all of you from the inspiring messages that you gave us tonight. David, having been an athlete myself in many sports, I have never understood why people choose to be goalkeepers. But I know that it is not only a unique position, but it requires a unique person. And it is also a very unique occurrence for a goalkeeper to be honored in this way. So it shows what a special person and player that you were, and it also, in your words, to acknowledge your teammates is so quintessential of a keeper, and that you're relying on your teammates to win in your position, I think is a great message for our current Maroons who are here to hear, and that you're sharing this with your teammates and your coach and your family, I think is something that resonates with all athletes. So thank you for your words of wisdom tonight. Kate, I have no idea how you're going to run a marathon on Sunday. I have never run one myself. I have never wanted to. But I think the fact that you are outnumbered in your household by so many boys is a tribute to your endurance already. And I'm not sure why you were so fearful of Amy Reifert being so fierce, although I'm joking because I'm afraid of her too. She is, you spoke of everything that we hope that our athletes learn from their experience of, or that our head coaches are providing a great culture and being a mentor and educating and inspiring our athletes. So we know that people are fortunate to have Amy Reifert as their coach, even if they don't always feel that way. And I think you gave us another cheer, right, Maroons? Oos. So shine your light. And for those current Maroons who are in the house, we'll do our current cheer. Mo, what? All right. So we can switch to oos, but we'll see. So inspiring. Cindy, I think you capture what University of Chicago is all about, the love for learning. That's what attracts students to the university, and the fact that athletics becomes the family away from home, I think is what resonates with a lot of student athletes that we have and thrive here at the University of Chicago. Your comment about Steph, and that apparently, just to call her princess, we all have one on our teams. We all have one. I remember mine was Melanie on my team at Hofstra. And again, I would agree with you that I would call Amy Reifert trouble, for sure. But happy birthday, Tommy. So happy and you're all Maroons. The children who are here are already Maroons, believe me, from my opinion. Cary, although it may not feel like it, you are having tremendous influence on your daughter every day. She might be laughing right now, but I can tell you, as a daughter of a father who encouraged me in my own athletic endeavors and things that I did that were not always normal for girls to pursue, she is benefiting from your wisdom. And finding your people at the University of Chicago is something I've heard since I arrived here. This is just something about this place that you can find your people here. And I think it's something that really sets this place apart. So thank you for coming to the University of Chicago even after you met Leo. Leo, just in case it still happens, doing weights after a meet is not okay. It's not allowed. Wanting to achieve more, Cary, in your comments, I think is something that, again, is very indicative of the University of Chicago student athlete. There's always more. There's always something you feel like is left to achieve. And I'm not surprised that even after winning, you felt you hadn't necessarily accomplished what you wanted to. And that's, I'm not sure if that's always a good thing, but it's certainly a quality of strength and commonality across our student athletes, I believe. So I think you fell right in line with of that kind of spirit. And John Thomas, I think, thank you for coming up and saying those comments for him. I think he just reminds us of our amazing history of UChicago athletics, where we really came from, who we are, being so modest, again, not surprised. I think that is so indicative of the students that we have here. And the fact that one of the great achievements of his teams was beating Princeton is something that Lester and I completely can understand. So, not that I'm an alum, but have spent many years there, and I understand. I'm sure the Princeton Tigers don't like to talk about the University of Chicago days of that time. So, again, this has just been such an amazing event, an evening for our student athletes who are here to experience the wisdom, the experiences that those who have come before them have had, the words that you have shared with them, and the inspirational experiences and messages that you shared. So thank you so much for all of you being here and for all of the wisdom and words that you have to say. I think we have a music. Yes, great, they are here. So CMAC will perform before we close. And just for a point of information, tomorrow the block party begins at 11:30 and the football game begins at 2 o'clock for those of you attending. And once we have our performance, we can disperse to the post-reception. So thank you all. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. We are CMAC, the University of Chicago Glee Club. We'll be singing 2 songs for you tonight, the first being the alma mater, and the second being our signature song, I'm Strong for Chicago. We're very excited to be here for you, and we hope you enjoy.